Every year, on the fourth Thursday of November, families all over the United States celebrate Thanksgiving. People usually spend the day with their families, eating lots of food and taking part in a variety of celebrations. But where does this tradition come from?
What about over here?
In the U.S., people say that the tradition comes from what they call the first Thanksgiving. In 1621, some of the earliest settlers in the United States, a group of religious pilgrims who had sailed to America from England, prepared a huge feast. They wanted to celebrate their successful harvest. They invited the local Native Americans, who had helped them catch and grow food so they could survive the winter. Today, people in the U.S. imitate this first Thanksgiving every year. Like the original pilgrims, they take the day off work, invite family and friends to their homes, and share a large meal. It's a day when everybody can relax and enjoy their shared culture and history.
Oh, thank you. This looks great.
It's uniquely American, Thanksgiving. It's the most American holiday.
It's my favorite holiday because everybody celebrates it, and I can invite anybody to my house for Thanksgiving that might not have a place to go. And the other thing is, it has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with America and celebrating the fruits of harvest and everything else that we are thankful for on that day.
What do you want to hang it?
The McGrath family are getting ready for their Thanksgiving dinner. There's something for everyone to do, and it's important that the entire family helps each other. Kevin and his mom, Katie, are setting the table. They decorate the table with special Thanksgiving ornaments that they make themselves. They also put up homemade decorations all over the house. The Thanksgiving meal is the most important part of the day. Because it's a special day, people can eat all kinds of food they don't usually have. They eat the food pilgrims used to eat, like potatoes, sweet potatoes, squash, and, of course, turkey. When the meal is almost ready, the guests start arriving. They wish each other a happy holiday and chat about the year. For the next few hours, everyone can just eat and chat. When the main course is over, it's time for dessert, and almost everyone's favorite Thanksgiving dessert is pumpkin pie, a delicious tart made from pumpkin. At the end of the meal, when no one can eat anything else, everyone relaxes. Like many celebrations, Thanksgiving has a lot of different traditions.
Well, one of the traditions we have is, of course, Thanksgiving. You have the parade in the morning, so we get to watch that. And in the afternoon, there are football games, so that's always great to sit down and watch your favorite team playing football on Thanksgiving.
The day ends with all the family together. They can enjoy each other's company and share memories of past Thanksgivings.
My favorite Thanksgiving memory would have to be I think in 1986, my father took my brother and I into New York City for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And so we got to see all the floats and, kind of all the balloons and everything like that. It was really great.
Many more years to come.
But most of all, they can leave everyday problems behind and give thanks for the year that's passed.
Forget the traffic, forget how many calories we're going to eat that day. We'll fix that problem tomorrow. But the joy of just being together and stopping what you're doing from life, from your iPads to all your electronics, it's just nice to sit and talk on the couch. We never have that opportunity.
Every year, on the fourth Thursday of November, families all over the United States celebrate Thanksgiving. In 1621, some of the earliest settlers in the United States, a group of religious pilgrims who had sailed to America from England, prepared a huge feast. Today, people in the U.S. imitate this first Thanksgiving every year. Like the original pilgrims, they take the day off work, invite family and friends to their homes, and share a large meal.
Well, I'm in high school, and in my high school, we don't have to wear a uniform, which is really nice because each student gets to show off their individual styles. And also in my school, we're allowed to go home for lunch, which I usually go home for lunch because I can watch TV or relax a little bit in case the next class that I have is hard. And also, certain subjects in our school we have to take, but we also are allowed to take classes that we want to take. For example, if I want to take drama class, I can take that as well as the major classes like math and English.
My school rules are a little stricter. We have some rules regarding clothing. We can't have any short sleeves. Our arms have to be covered. We can't have our stomachs showing, and we can't wear short skirts.
Well, at our school, we're not allowed to have our cell phone out during class. The teachers don't want us playing games or looking at pictures. We are allowed sometimes to have it out if we're using it for research or something for the class. After school, they sell food in the vending machines, but they only want us eating it outside of the class. They don't want us to make a mess.
At my school, we're allowed to wear whatever we want. We can wear jeans, shirts, blouses. We don't have to wear uniforms. Although sometimes I wish that we could wear uniforms because it would make getting ready in the morning so much easier. For lunch, we can go to some nearby restaurants, but I think you need to get special permission first. But I usually eat at the cafeteria at school.
A few years ago, I actually went to Disney World with my family, and it was tons of fun. It was really hot because it was in August, but being with everybody and seeing all the characters and getting to go on the rides just made me really happy. We stayed at this really cool hotel that it was themed with all this music, and so in each hotel room there was different genres, which was really nice. And there was a big pool out front, which I went into almost every day to cool off because it was really hot. And when we went to the parks individually, I went on all these different rides and met all the different characters, and I had so much fun.
Last year, I went to England, and I traveled to London with my family. And we saw Big Ben and Buckingham Palace, where we didn't see the Queen. And I saw the London Eye, and yeah, I tried fish and chips, and I had a lot of fun with my family.
Two summers ago, my family and I went to San Diego, California. When we were there, we saw the San Diego Chargers play football. The game was amazing and the weather was beautiful. We felt like we were right there with the players. After that, we went to the San Diego Zoo and we saw so many different animals that you can't see here in New Jersey. The next day, we went to the beach and it was amazing to see all the surfers in the ocean. It was such a cool experience.
Okay, well, my family and I go to the Jersey Shore every summer. We rent a beach house and we all go and we go to the beach during the day. And then at night we do all kinds of activities, like we go to the boardwalk and we try to win prizes at the stands or ride amusement rides, or we go to karaoke. This last summer we went and the weather was perfect. There wasn't a rainy day, which was so much fun. And I love going to the beach with my family, and we do that every summer, so that's our vacation.
Dr. Mickey Karam is a surgeon working in 2 hospitals in the United States, one in Ohio and one in Kentucky. Today, Dr. Karam is working at the Christ Hospital in Cincinnati, a city in Ohio in the northeast of the United States. The Christ Hospital has 550 beds, and more than 1,000 doctors and nurses work here. Dr. Karam divides his time between the operating theater and his office.
And also, I need to get...
He works in the Christ Hospital on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and on Fridays, he works in Kentucky. On Tuesdays, he spends the entire day in his office.
Karen, I just saw Mrs. Small.
At the beginning of each day, Dr. Karam talks to his administrator and to the nurses. Together, they check how many patients he is seeing and discuss any important issues and potential problems.
What time do we finish, do you know?
He then takes each patient's file and reads it. If he can learn as much as possible about a patient now, it will make the surgery much easier. But the file only tells him so much.
How are you?
Once he has read it, he meets the patient. This is a very important part of his job because he needs to know everything about his patient's medical history. If he didn't meet them, he wouldn't know enough about them to carry out the surgery. It's helpful for the patients too. Dr. Karam explains the operation to them, and if they're nervous, he reassures them. He checks that his patients have done everything they should have done in preparation for surgery. This patient, for example, shouldn't have eaten anything for the last 24 hours.
Or, as I said, talk about the medicine.
If everything is okay, both Dr. Karam and the patient prepare for the operation. Dr. Karam changes his clothes. Like all surgeons, he wears scrubs. These are special clothes for surgery. They are easy to keep clean, and if they do get dirty, they are cheap to replace. All surgeons should wear a face mask, too. This prevents them from breathing germs in or out. After the operation, Dr. Karam talks to another doctor. This doctor will take care of the patient after the surgery. So it is important for Dr. Karam to tell her how the surgery went. He describes the patient's requirements. If they needed special care, for example, he would tell this doctor. He also explains what the patient should and shouldn't do to help the recovery process. Then, Dr. Karam visits another patient and prepares for another operation. Today, Dr. Karam is working at the Christ Hospital in Cincinnati, a city in Ohio in the northeast of the United States. The Christ Hospital has 550 beds, and more than 1,000 doctors and nurses work here. Like all surgeons, he wears scrubs. These are special clothes for surgery.
If you have a cold, then your nose is going to be stuffy, your head's going to hurt, your throat's going to be sore. So you should drink lots of water, take some medicine, and get lots of rest. But if the symptoms continue, you should probably go see a doctor. Hopefully, you'll feel much better soon.
If you have a toothache, you can put a warm towel on it, and that may help. Or you can take a painkiller, and if that doesn't work, then you should go to the dentist.
Well, if you get a really bad headache, the first thing you want to do is drink a lot of water. Also, you want to get a lot of rest. If you wake up the next morning and you still have a headache, you should go see your doctor, just to make sure it's not anything too serious.
If you have a sore throat, I think you should definitely drink lots of tea with honey and lemon and ginger. That's what my mom always makes me. Cough drops are good. You should definitely get lots of rest. Sometimes when I'm not feeling well, it usually means I just need to sleep. And if you're still feeling a little bit sick, you should go see the doctor, and hopefully they can give you something stronger to use.
When I was young, I was at the playground and I was on the swings. I fell off and I actually broke my arm, so I had to get to the hospital fast. The doctors bandaged up my arm and I had it on for a couple weeks, maybe a month, but then eventually it healed and I got better.
One time I was playing with my friends and I was running in the dark and I hit my head on a doorway and I got a big bump on my head, and the doctor thought I had a concussion, so I had to stay home for a few days.
Last year, during one of my high school football games, I hurt my knee really badly. I went for the big catch and I tripped. The coaches and the players came out and they rushed me to the emergency room. It ended up that I tore something in my knee, and it really, really hurt.
Well, luckily, I haven't really broken many bones, but I did break my thumb when I was 11. I was riding my bike, and I fell off of my bike, and I landed on my hand in a funny way. And I couldn't move my thumb for a couple of days, and I was scared to tell my mom because I thought she would get mad at me. When I finally told my mom, she took me to the emergency room, and they found out that my thumb was broken, and we got a cast.
Today, the Titanic must be one of the most famous disasters in history. Almost everybody knows the story. On April 15, 1912, the ship hit an iceberg and sank in the mid-Atlantic. More than 1,500 people died in one of the sea's worst tragedies. But the story should have been very different. The White Star Line built the Titanic here, at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast. It was one of 3 ships that revolutionized sea travel. The Titanic, the Britannic, and the Olympic were bigger, faster, and more luxurious than any other ship in the world. And the Titanic was the best of the 3. It was the biggest passenger ship in the world. It was nearly 270 meters long and over 53 meters high with 9 decks. It was a miracle of modern engineering, and everybody wanted to travel on it. When the ship left Southampton on April 10, 1912, there were 1,343 passengers and 885 crew members on board. Thousands of people came to see it off. Some of the passengers were very wealthy. They lived in luxury on the cruise liner, and the first-class section had a swimming pool, a gymnasium, a squash court, and a special cafe offering the best French haute cuisine. But some people say this might have been part of the problem. If the shipbuilders had focused more on safety than luxury, then perhaps more people would have been saved. At first, the Titanic's maiden voyage was a success. As the Titanic made its way to New York, stopping briefly at Cherbourg in France and Queenstown, now called Cove, in Ireland, everything was going well. Then halfway across the Atlantic, the crew received iceberg warnings. But they wanted to reach New York on time, so they didn't slow down. The ship must have been traveling very fast because it couldn't avoid the iceberg it hit at around midnight on April 14th. The ship sank very quickly, and only a few people escaped on lifeboats. Most passengers jumped into the water, which must have been extremely cold, and died before a passing ship could rescue them. Today, the sinking of the Titanic may be one of the best-known stories in the world. It's sad to think that the history of one of the world's greatest ever ships might have been very different. The White Star Line built the Titanic here, at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast. It was the biggest passenger ship in the world. It was nearly 270 meters long and over 53 meters high with 9 decks. The ship must have been traveling very fast because it couldn't avoid the iceberg it hit at around midnight on April 14th.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I went out with a girl. We texted a little bit beforehand, and then we decided to go to the movies. It was nice. It was really intimate. And then we went out for ice cream afterwards, which tasted really good, and we had a great time.
I have been on a date. My friend on the football team asked me to go on a date, and we went to go to dinner, and then afterwards we saw a movie, and we really enjoyed it. It was really fun, and I really like him.